I have the most extraordinary partner in life.
My mom, loving maternal, you know. My wife, Nicole Mary, is here tonight. I love you, baby girl.
Hollywood marriages are built on a foundation of illusion, designed to glitter for the cameras before inevitably crumbling under pressure. But for nearly 2 decades, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban have been the exception, the one couple who seem to have found the secret formula. Their love story has been sold as a modern fairy tale. But what if it's all been a lie? A shocking report has just surfaced, detailing a divorce so brutal and calculated, it includes a custody arrangement counting every single day the children spend with each parent. Is this the final heartbreaking chapter for one of Hollywood's most beloved couples? Or is it the key to unlocking a much darker, more complex truth they've been hiding from the world for years? The news didn't just break, it detonated. Alleged court documents dated September 30th claimed Nicole Kidman had officially filed to end her marriage. The reason provided was the cold, clinical phrase that ends so many Hollywood dreams: irreconcilable differences. The report went on to paint a devastating picture of a relationship that had been secretly disintegrating for months, alleging the couple had been living completely separate lives since the beginning of summer, putting on a brave face for the public while their world fell apart behind the scenes. The most shocking detail, however, was the custody agreement. This wasn't a mutual, amicable split. It was a cold, hard calculation. Their 2 daughters, Sunday and Faith, would spend 306 days a year under Nicole's roof, leaving Keith with a startlingly meager 59 days. The specificity was chilling. It wasn't about sharing, it was about division, a legal document that hinted at a bitter and painful war. For fans, it felt like the final confirmation that even the strongest Hollywood love stories are doomed to fail. But what happened next would only deepen the mystery. Just as the world began to mourn the end of their marriage, a strange and deafening silence fell. There were no tearful confirmations, no carefully worded PR statements. Instead, the story began to unravel under its own weight. Sources allegedly close to the couple started whispering that the entire report was a malicious fabrication, a cruel and elaborate hoax. They insisted Nicole and Keith were as strong as they'd ever been, leaving the public completely bewildered. Why would a story with such specific, damaging details just appear out of thin air? This wasn't your typical tabloid gossip. This felt targeted, designed to strike at the very heart of their family. The confusion cracked open a much deeper question. If they weren't splitting up, what secrets were they hiding that made these rumors so potent and so believable? The truth, it turns out, lies buried in a history far more turbulent and fragile than anyone ever imagined. Their story was never the fairy tale people think. When Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban first locked eyes at the Good Day USA Gala in 2005, the air wasn't filled with magical sparks. It was thick with awkwardness. She was a global superstar, an Oscar-winning actress who had recently escaped one of the most famous and controlling marriages in Hollywood history. He was the rugged country star from the Australian outback, a tattooed bad boy with a reputation. She was instantly captivated, but he seemed utterly unfazed. In a move that has since become legendary, Keith didn't call her. Days turned into weeks, and weeks bled into months. 4 entire months passed in total silence. Nicole later confessed the excruciating weight left her thinking he had zero interest. It was a strange and insecure beginning, a sign of the deep-seated fears and personal demons that would soon erupt and threaten to burn their new relationship to the ground before it ever truly began. Just 4 months after their breathtakingly beautiful wedding in 2006, the dream transformed into a living nightmare. Nicole was on top of the world, bathed in the glow of new love and professional success. But the man she came home to was secretly spiraling into darkness. Keith's long-dormant battle with substance abuse had returned with a terrifying vengeance. He was lost, and their marriage was in jeopardy. Realizing her new husband was on a collision course with tragedy, Nicole made the most difficult and courageous decision of her life. She gathered their closest friends and staged a full-blown intervention. It was a shocking, humiliating, and deeply painful moment for Keith, but it was also an act of desperate, ferocious love from Nicole. She was gambling everything: her heart, her new marriage, their public image, to save the man she loved from himself. It was a crisis that would either shatter them into a million pieces or forge their bond into something truly unbreakable. From the sterile, quiet walls of a rehab facility, Keith Urban made a confession that laid bare the raw, agonizing truth of their crisis. "I caused the implosion of my newly married life. he admitted, his words heavy with the shame of what he had put Nicole through. He revealed that for years, he had been a master at hiding his demons. But Nicole's unwavering love was a light so bright it left no room for shadows. She refused to play the role of the enabling wife. She chose instead to become his warrior. She flew across the country to attend family therapy sessions at the treatment center, sitting by his side as he confronted his darkest impulses. All the while, the tabloids feasted on their private agony. This wasn't just a rough patch. It was a near-fatal blow to a marriage that was still in its infancy. Their survival now depended on building a level of trust and forgiveness that most couples never have to face in a lifetime. For Nicole, this crisis was a terrifying echo of a past she had fought desperately to escape. Her decade-long marriage to Tom Cruise wasn't just a relationship. It was a global phenomenon, a masterclass in public image, and, as was later revealed, intense private control. When it all ended in a shocking and sudden divorce, she was left emotionally shattered and relentlessly hounded by the media. The last thing she ever wanted was another high-profile failure. Keith's very public breakdown threw them directly into the merciless glare of the spotlight she had tried so hard to avoid. The pressure was suffocating. It felt as though history was cruelly repeating itself, and the world was watching, waiting for them to implode. Against this chaotic backdrop of recovery and public scrutiny, they made a decision that would anchor them forever. They started a family. The birth of their daughter, Sunday Rose, in 2008, followed by Faith Margaret via a surrogate in 2010, solidified them as a unit. But they knew that raising children in the toxic fishbowl of Los Angeles was a recipe for disaster. So they made a radical choice. They packed their bags and moved to Nashville, Tennessee, deliberately turning their backs on the Hollywood machine. It was a strategic retreat, a conscious effort to build a real, private, and grounded life far away from the industry that had nearly broken them both. This decision to prioritize their family's well-being over fame and fortune became the unshakable cornerstone of their survival. But even in the rolling hills of Tennessee, they couldn't outrun the rumors. Over the years, the tabloids have relentlessly declared that their marriage was on the verge of collapse. Anonymous insiders would leak stories of explosive arguments fueled by their conflicting schedules. Keith would be on a world tour for months, while Nicole was on a remote film set for just as long. Whispers of jealousy, trust issues, and loneliness were constant. While many of these reports were undoubtedly exaggerated for sales, they often stemmed from a real place of strain. The sheer demands of their parallel careers were a constant threat, a relentless pressure cooker that fed the public speculation that their carefully constructed world was always just one fight, one lonely night away from falling apart. To combat the immense pressures of their lifestyle, they created a set of unconventional but ironclad rules. The most famous of these is their absolute ban on texting. Nicole has stated publicly that they have never once sent a text message to each other, firmly believing that the nuances of love and support can only be conveyed through voice and sight. Another unbreakable rule is that they will never spend more than a few days apart. This has resulted in a logistical labyrinth of private jets, last-minute international flights, and exhausting red-eyes, all just to steal a single night together. These aren't just romantic quirks. They are a meticulously designed defense system against the distance, misunderstanding, and temptation that have systematically destroyed countless other Hollywood relationships. However, some dramas simply couldn't be contained by their private rules. Nicole's fearless and often provocative career choices have repeatedly put their marriage under an intense microscope. Her raw, intensely realistic intimate scenes in acclaimed shows like Big Little Lies and The Undoing sparked endless speculation about Keith's jealousy. The issue reached a fever pitch at the 2017 Emmy Awards. When her co-star Alexander Skarsgård won an award for his role, he walked past Keith and kissed Nicole directly on the lips. The moment went viral instantly. The media exploded with questions. How could Keith tolerate such a public display of intimacy? Though he was seen laughing it off, the incident fueled a persistent narrative that Nicole's daring professional life was a significant source of private tension for her more traditional husband. That fierce, protective instinct was put on dramatic display during a now infamous incident at the Sydney Opera House in 2023. During a performance, a man seated behind the couple began to argue with Nicole. When he allegedly swatted her with his program, something inside Keith snapped. Eyewitnesses reported that he shot out of his seat to confront the man, his rock star cool completely evaporating. The situation escalated so quickly that security had to be called to intervene. The altercation made front-page news, revealing a side of Keith Urban the public rarely sees. He wasn't the calm, charming country superstar. He was a husband, primal and protective, defending his wife from a perceived slight. The moment proved that beneath their polished public image, a raw and passionate fire still burned, ready to ignite at a moment's notice. This fierce, unwavering loyalty is precisely what makes the initial divorce rumors seem so utterly absurd. The idea of them coldly carving up their children's lives, 306 days versus 59, is the complete antithesis of everything they have painstakingly built together. Their entire life, from their radical move to Nashville to their insane travel rules, has been meticulously designed to keep their family unit sacred and whole. The custody myth isn't just a lie, it's a direct assault on the very foundation of their relationship. It's a false narrative they have fought for nearly 2 decades to disprove through their actions, showcasing a profound dedication to being present, hands-on parents in the face of extraordinary circumstances. Today, the challenges they face remain as intense as ever. Keith is frequently on the road for grueling world tours, playing to sold-out arenas thousands of miles away from home. At the same time, Nicole's acting career is burning brighter than ever, with a relentless schedule of demanding roles in major film and television productions that require her to be on set for months on end. This state of constant separation is the ultimate ongoing test of their unique rules and their hard-won trust. It's a high-wire act that would send most marriages plummeting, and it's the very reason the divorce rumors always find an audience. Yet somehow, against all odds, they continue to make it work. A stunning testament to the powerful system they built to withstand the gale force winds of fame. In the end, the true secret to their survival isn't found in their glamorous red carpet appearances or their sweet, curated interviews. It was forged in the absolute darkest days of their lives. The crisis that should have irrevocably destroyed their marriage, Keith's public battle with addiction just months after they said "I do," became their defining moment. They stared into the abyss together and chose to fight their way back into the light. Their bond isn't built on the flimsy, picture-perfect foundation of a typical Hollywood romance. It's built on the solid bedrock of recovery, radical forgiveness, and a shared, intimate understanding of human fragility. They survived an ordeal that would have shattered almost anyone. So, while the world continues to watch, mesmerized, waiting for the inevitable cracks to appear, Nicole and Keith remain standing, stronger, more connected, and more devoted than ever. Theirs is not a story about being the perfect couple. It is a powerful testament to the profound, resilient strength that can only emerge from imperfection. They are living proof that sometimes the relationships that endure the most brutal storms are the ones that become the most unbreakable. Perhaps the greatest love stories aren't the ones that start perfectly, but the ones that survive being perfectly, beautifully broken.